Hi, and welcome to One-to-One Podcast, where we discuss the businesses and lives of the BNI members of the Summit chapter of BNI here in Utah. And today I am joined by Tiffany Heath, who has TRH Coaching. And we're going to have the opportunity to get to know her and her business a little bit better. Tiffany, welcome to the show. And I really appreciate you taking the time to get things up and going. And I'm looking forward to this conversation. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. I am doing great, especially now that we got all the technical difficulties worked out and I'm here. So I'm glad to be here. So thanks again for having me.
Okay, great. I do it. It's sometimes a bit of a task, but I tell you, the fruits of our efforts will be well worth it. Tiffany, tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to start TRH Coaching. TRH obviously stands for Tiffany Heath. What's the R?
Right.
Is that your middle name?
Yeah, my maiden name is Ryan. So I just was like the easiest. We'll just go with my initials, TRH Coaching. Yeah. So I've been a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor for well over 20 years. And I've worked with both male and female clients for a long time. Most of those clients, people who wanted to lose weight or just get in better shape, or just even new to exercise. But I just noticed kind of a trend over time where I'd have a handful of clients that would do really well and get these kind of amazing results where you had like the before and after pictures. Think of those kind of results. But it wasn't the norm. And then some of these clients still had a hard time maintaining and they would revert back to old habits. And so I began to take it personally and I began to question, like, what am I doing wrong here? Or my clients just not motivated enough, or they were lacking self-discipline. And so this kind of curiosity led to exploring just why people struggle to make changes. Even when they know the current path that they're on could jeopardize their health and potentially lead to other serious conditions, whether that's heart disease or type 2 diabetes. And some of my clients, not all, but some were already dealing with those issues. Then life threw me some personal curveballs and I struggled with my mental health and I basically hit rock bottom at one point, where it forced me to seek professional help with my doctor and then eventually a therapist and then coaching after that. And so that experience combined with my just wondering what more is out there that I could do to help my clients culminated where it was a big catalyst that threw me into the world of coaching. And I wanted to basically further my education and dive more deeper into behavior change and psychology and just a more comprehensive approach to health. And so I basically recognized that or understood the importance of understanding that we're complex human beings. It's so much more than just
motivation or diet or exercise.
Exactly.
There are a lot of things that create us complex animals.
Exactly. And so if we focus on just what to eat and our workouts or what exercises to do, those are just isolated pieces in a puzzle. And so we then neglect all the other things, whether that's our environment, our genetics, and biology, our mindset. All of those are going to influence how we go about actually doing that thing. So it's important that we take those factors and those aspects into consideration. And that's how I decided to take this more holistic approach to help people with those long-term sustainable changes versus just, here, eat this and do these exercises.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Life experience is one of the great equalizers. And it's also the reason a lot of us do what we do is because we've been handed a complex set of circumstances. And as a result, we deal with them. And we either succumb to those or we grow. And that's good to hear that you've used that as a stepping stone as opposed to just a reason not to do it. And that's inspiring. Now, in the questionnaire, you mentioned that you grew up in Texas and California, and those are two big states, but you discovered competitive swimming, and that was your first experience with physical fitness. How did that early experience and your passion for fitness influence you going into coaching?
I love that question because I feel like that is such a big part of why I did and go into coaching. And growing up, for whatever reason, my parents never put me in sports. I never learned how to play sports. But I think there was a big part of me that kind of wanted to be athletic and wanted to play sports. But I was the kid like in PE classes that was always picked last when choosing teams. And I hated PE. I hated that whole experience. However, I did love to swim, and I joined a year-round swim team. And then in high school, I swam on the swim team, which luckily got me out of the traditional PE classes because swimming, that was my PE. And then as part of our off-season, like conditioning for swim team, we lifted weights and we would run. Our coach would have us run like the hills. We had sand dunes there by the high school. And I loved that aspect, believe it or not. That was a chance for me to be like, hey, look at all my hard work. Like I'm strong, I can do these things and feel really good about myself. And that was my way of being athletic, even though I never learned how to play traditional sports. And so I think these experiences really helped spark my desire to help other people, that help them develop a love for fitness and just a healthy lifestyle that maybe they were similar to me. Maybe they weren't ever athletic, or it wasn't the norm for them. That wasn't the thing that they did. So that really, I think, just deep down really helped me to create that desire to help other people, because it was just a big part of what shaped me.
Now, you talked about a team, a year-round team. Was it a single coach, or were there multiple coaches involved in?
There had to have been multiple coaches. It was so long ago. But yeah, there was probably multiple coaches over the different age groups and the year-round one. And then we had our head coach and then assistant coach in high school. Definitely
Because
multiple
it sounds
coaches,
to me like they had a very nuanced approach, nurturing an athlete. And it wasn't all about the pool. It was about building strength. And did that influence the way you approach coaching?
Now, I never really thought about it that way until you asked that, but I think so. Like you just pointed out, there's different aspects of it, whether that's team building or the conditioning. And I think absolutely that probably played a role in that without me even realizing it till you just brought it up. So.
All right, Tiffany has an epiphany. So I noticed that you have several certifications, including PN Level 2, nutrition coach, sleep stress management, recovery coach, and ACSM certified. And these initials you're going to have to explain. How do each of those qualifications shape your approach to coaching?
So I guess as far as the name, the ACSM stands for American College of Sports Medicine. And that's the gold standard of the industry. You have to actually have a degree in exercise and sports science or exercise physiology to even be able to take the exercise physiology test, which is my credential, the certified exercise physiologist. And then precision nutrition, PN, is the one that I have some of these other certifications.
Are there other levels of coaching?
No, the PN2 is their master coaching, and that was a year-long intensive, not at your own pace. It was a year-long course that I did. And as now, that's the highest one that they have. And there's other ones that you can do just to supplement that as like continuing education. But yeah, that was a really intense, but such a great program where I learned so much, again, about that deep health approach. And looking at it more, again, all the pieces, how they work together, they're interconnected, and they have a direct and an indirect impact on our abilities to actually execute those behaviors that we want to do. So I think as far as my approach and how that has shaped my approach, I think for years, looking back, I told people, here's your workout program, or here's what you need to eat in order to reach your goals. And you can even find today, like you can find countless programs online. Some of them are for free. So the information is out there. And so I asked myself, again, if the information is out there, why do people, again, struggle to actually do it? And I think what I learned from all these certifications, some more than others, but it's like because we're focusing on the what to do versus the how to do it. So I feel like it's helped shape my approach. And again, taking into consideration your lifestyle, your background, your experiences, and your just everything that shaped you, and and implement the changes that you want to do in a way that's going to work for you in the context of your lifestyle, not your sister, not your neighbor, not your best friend, but how to do it in a way that works for you. Let me give you an example real quick, if that's okay. There was one of my former clients and this is my typical client. The moms might work full-time or part-time. They're a mom. They're taking their kids to sports and all the different activities, and then they're working on top of that. And so they have a lot going on. And so a lot of times they might feel like, oh, if I'm going to meet my goals or if I'm going to be healthy, I have to make my family one meal and then I have to make myself a separate meal. Or they are staying up later, even though they know sleep's important. They're staying up late to do all the things that they need to get done. So one of my former clients, it was interesting because she really was struggling with her nutrition side of things. And as a mom, you can't just stop being a mom or you can't just quit your job. And so it's like, how can we again focus on what she can control versus what she can't? And so here's, I guess, what I'm trying to illustrate the whole deep health approach is, even though she was struggling with her nutrition, because what she would do is she would do really good for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then by the time she got to Friday, she was just exhausted. She felt like just the screw it effect, like whatever, I'm going to just throw everything out the window. And then she would give in to the cravings and just undo everything that she had done on the other days. So most people might think, oh, we just need to have more self-discipline or be more motivated. But what we did, knowing that sleep affects these things, we set a goal so she could get to bed 15 minutes earlier most nights of the week. That's it, 15 minutes. And people might think, well, what's that going to do? But after doing this, even just 2 weeks, guess what? When I get to Fridays, I'm still tired, but I feel more in control. That was her exact words. She felt like she was still tired, but she could still make the better choice.
She probably wound up getting to bed not 15 minutes, but more like 45 minutes to an hour earlier because she had set a deadline to be in bed.
Exactly. And some days it may have been that 45 minutes or so, but the point is she was doing something. And I think all too often, especially in the fitness and health or diet industry, we think about what we should eat in the workouts and we don't take into consideration how big of an impact sleep really does have on our behaviors, our choices, our hormones. So I love that example because I just was like, 15 minutes, that's all she changed. And yet look how it affected her, able to feel like she was more in control and motivation during the weekend and especially on Fridays.
Can you explain what you refer to as deep health and how that influences how you work with clients?
Yeah. I think just going along with what we eat and the exercises or the workouts that we do. So it's considering other aspects like sleep, stress management, and one other thing that I think a lot of people overlook is your mindset or the outlook, the way that you view things. For example, having an all or nothing mindset. All those things, again, are influenced by each other and they're going to play a big role in that. So if we just focus on what to eat and what we should be doing, it's like putting a Band-Aid over we're not solving the bigger problem here. I mentioned my client with the whole sleep, just getting to bed 15 minutes early, whatever, but the same applies to our mindset and the way that we look at things. Another of my clients that I worked with, she came to me with the belief that the only way that she could lose weight was by intense exercise, and she hated it. She basically had numerous injuries and would be burnt out because she kept trying to go hard or go home type thing. And so my role as a coach was to help her recognize that, no, that's not the only option. And so after working with me for 12 months, she not only hit her weight loss goal, which was losing 25 pounds and counting, all without doing intense exercise. So she was a teacher. She had several kids. She was working on her master's degree at the same time. And that didn't allow a lot of time for her to go to the gym or do these organized, structured workouts all the time. So what we did is we just focused on getting in movement each day, kind of trying to increase her daily steps. And then she would have one structured workout on the weekends, usually just one a week. But doing that, she met her goal and it helped her really change her relationship with exercise and realize that not only could she do without intense exercise, but she could maintain it. It was sustainable. She wasn't trying something that was so hard that if she quit, then she was going to gain back all the weight that she lost, revert back to old habits. She felt really confident in her ability to look what I did without intense exercise. So I can keep going, and as my schedule permits, maybe start with twice a week instead of the one structured workout a week. But I think that's a great example of how that approach, or how I view the deep health, just interplaying with all the other factors of our life.
Would you mind explaining what strategies you use to help clients maintain those sustainable behaviors and lasting routines into their fitness and nutrition routines? Is that a part of your process? Is that what you learned with your certifications?
Yeah, I think probably one of the main differences that I learned from my certifications, for sure, 100%, but the approach I take with helping my clients, the strategies that I use, is treating change as a skill. And if we treat it as a skill, we can basically break it down into small, focusing on small, manageable changes that fit into their busy lives. And so if we start small, like for example, it might be just adding vegetables to one meal during the day versus trying to overhaul their whole diet. Or maybe we just start with increasing, like we're gonna increase your steps by 500 steps each day, or going for a 10-minute walk every day, or practicing eating slowly and mindfully. So you're actually paying attention to the hunger and fullness cues versus just following a diet or macro plan where it has, this is what you should eat. So these are all skills. And if we recognize that these are skills, the only way we get better at these things is by practicing and being strategic about that. So I feel like instead of, again, just telling them, here's what you need to do to follow it, we're working on building skills in all these different areas based on their needs and their goals and their strengths, and they have their areas of opportunity. But these are skills that then they take with them long after they're done coaching with me. They don't go away. So whether the circumstances change, they can always kind of revert back to the skills that they learned. And I think that's probably one of the biggest strategies that I've implemented from, again, my certifications and just even personal experience with my coaches that I've worked with, is just that breaking it down into small little things that you can do day after day makes it a lot more sustainable long term.
And if you reduce it down to the ridiculous, it makes anything possible.
Exactly.
Would you mind telling me, how do you integrate elements like sleep management and mindset into your coaching session?
Yeah, I think it's going to depend, first of all and foremost, on the individual, the person that I'm working with, and what their specific goals are. But when a client first starts with me, they fill out a deep health questionnaire, and it basically has 5 areas that they answer questions. So it's going to cover nutrition, it's going to cover their movements, their stress management, their sleep habits, and then their change. And so we identify, again, those strengths and opportunities of each area, and the client is going to choose where they want to start. So for example, if a client feels like one of their goals is to be more consistent with their exercise, and they come and say, you know what, I know if I could get my workouts in early in the morning before my kids are up, then I would be much more likely to be consistent with my exercise, but they may struggle to get to bed on time. So we might, instead of coming up with a workout plan to do early in the morning, start by tackling their sleep first, which may mean we come up with a bedtime routine that helps them get to bed a little bit earlier so they get more sleep, or even just a routine that's going to help them get better quality of sleep. Or if, like a client, I talked about the mindset. So if I have a client that struggles with the all or nothing mindset, we might focus on doing something instead of nothing. In fact, one of the things that comes to mind is there's a little, just to make it fun, there's a little, what do you want to call it, game competition that they can do with themselves, where I guess a strategy, that's what I want to call it. It's a strategy that they can do, is where they basically get 0 points if they do their full 60-minute workout, or they follow their nutrition plan perfectly for the day. 0 points. But if they do something, and the smaller the better, then they get the most points. And I love this strategy because it's fun, because it's hard for people who are used to that all or nothing. They're like, what? I should be getting 60 points if I do my whole 60-minute workout. So for them to flip and try to reframe and focus on, okay, I'm not going to make it to the gym today for my 60-minute workout, but I can still do a 10-minute walk, or I can do a 10-minute YouTube video, or I can do something. So that's a fun process, and just one of the strategies I might use with a client to help them, again, change their change that mindset so they're focusing on something versus always.
That's interesting because I've seen that time and again over multiple industries where you take a certain skill that not sales, but it's making a pitch. You reward the pitch and not just the sale, because the more pitches you do, the more sales you get. And rather than just rewarding the sale, that also identifies who's a strong closer or qualifier or not. That's an interesting perspective, and I'm sure that you've helped a lot of people with that approach. Now, for folks that watch this who might be struggling with similar challenges, what are some actionable tips that you can share for them to be able to start making a positive change?
Yeah, I love that. I think I would encourage them to focus on just one thing. There's power, the power of less. It's actually a book. But yeah, focusing on just one thing to start with. Instead of trying to overhaul everything all at once, choose one thing, the smaller the better, and then break it down into something that you can do every single day. Maybe that's drinking a glass of water. Maybe that's 500 extra steps, or maybe that's just taking 30 seconds to focus some deep breathing exercises to help with that stress. But once they choose that one thing, then this is something that I do with my clients as I have them rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, of course I can do this. Like I'm already maybe almost doing it. 1 being, there's no way I could do this. I want them to rate themselves on a confidence level where they're at on that task. And if they rate themselves anything lower than an 8, then I have them, okay, we're going to scale back a little bit. We're going to adjust. Because if you can do the thing that you decided you were going to do on even your worst day, and that's what I want them to be able to feel like they can do this even on a really bad day, then of course you can do it on a good day, and you may be even able to do even a little bit more. So I think that can be really helpful. And once they do that thing for a couple of weeks or whatever, then you can just keep building on that, whether that's a different area or, hey, I got my serving of vegetables in every day for the last 2 weeks. Now I'm going to try doing that twice, or maybe I might focus on my protein or something like that. But if you start small and then gradually add on top of that, that's how I feel long-term change happens over time. It's that consistent action, not the I make a big decision and it was this one moment time thing when I was feeling motivated. It's the consistency of these small choices, sometimes just the basic things that we all struggle to do, but doing that over time is what leads to that lasting change. So I would encourage them to basically just choose one thing, start with that, and then they can gradually
pick something small.
Exactly.
Maybe it's, okay, I'm commit to drinking more water. I'm going to drink water before I eat and wait 10 minutes before I grab a snack and see if I'm still as hungry as I was, or some other crazy strategy. I'm not calling anything crazy. I'm just saying it can be simple.
Exactly. Some of my clients are trying to cut their soda intake. That's one thing. They'll have kind of their rule where they have to drink 8 ounces of water before they have their Diet Coke or their Diet Dr. Pepper, whatever it is. So yeah, exactly what you said.
Someone's interested in utilizing your coaching services. What's the best way for them to get to know more about you and TRH Coaching?
Yeah, they can check out my website, trhcoaching.com. I would also encourage them to, if they go to my website, they can sign up for my Wellness Wisdom Weekly email newsletter, where I send out a weekly newsletter with lots of great things. And then I'm also on Facebook. So if people are Facebook users, you can find me on Facebook and learn more a little bit about what I do there.
No, there's an awful lot of Facebook users.
There is. When I joke, the younger people are on Instagram, and I'm not on Instagram, so I must be old because I'm primarily on Facebook, but yeah.
And you can set up an account and transfer. In fact, I think they post them over automatically.
I think there is something in your settings that you can do that for sure.
So maybe you can get the hipsters too.
There you go.
Get over on Insta.
On Insta.
Tiffany, it has been a pleasure to have gotten to know you, to see you work through our technical issues with patience. Technology isn't always the most enjoyable thing to deal with. And your approach to fitness and health is inspiring, sharing the fact that one of the things that led you to this was your own struggle with mental health is inspiring. because oftentimes people that deal with those things embrace it as something that's built you into what you are. And I genuinely appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate your patience with the whole technical, but yeah, I appreciate that, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you again for tuning in to the Zing One-to-One podcast for BNI Business. And stay tuned and subscribe for more interesting stories from our BNI chapter members. Until next time, this is Matt Kalunke. Thanks for joining.